Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sarah Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers. I believe your body does want to and is capable of rebuilding and healing itself, regardless of what chronic disease you may have. And I'm here for you to answer your questions, bring you innovative and cutting-edge technology and health solutions to empower you and your ability to reach your optimal state of health. Today, my guest will be talking about the frequency healing for the mind, body, and spirit. And the reality is we really need a strong physical foundation to work on the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of life. And something feels different in 2022 this year, as this is the first week. It's the year of frequency healing. It really is. The tagline at Accelerated Health Products is increase your frequency. And that is something that people were not ready to grasp last year or the year before, but they are ready this year. And that's why I'm so excited about today. And I'm excited about living this year at a whole new level of frequency. So not only at Accelerated Health Products do I help you strengthen your physical body, but I actually help reverse your aging and chronic disease through frequency enhanced supplements and modalities. And by reverse aging, or having your biological age go backwards while your chronological age ticks forwards, the risks of those metabolic diseases that so many are suffering from diminish, and you'll not only live longer, but you'll actually have a better quality of life as you improve with age. I'm turning 40. Gosh, what is it, 46 this year? And I am going to be hopefully in my 30s. That is my goal. But what are the basic markers of aging people look at? And those are oxidative stress and inflammation. And that's why so many look to antioxidants and anti-inflammatory supplements or diets to increase longevity. But what are the 2 top things that cause the oxidative stress and inflammation? Number 1, insulin resistance. And number 2, toxicity. And oh my goodness, our world is toxic. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you reverse chronic disease, detox properly, and ultimately reverse the aging process. You can find my health protocols and articles and cutting-edge supplements, devices at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I dive into an array of health conditions, their causes and symptoms, and how to address them naturally. I have put together the most comprehensive cleanse called the Ascent Diet Cleanse that truly starts turning back the clock within 30 days. It comes with the free group coaching and scalar frequency enhanced supplements to make the transition easy. The groups report easy fat loss for the stubborn pounds, the increased and sustained physical energy, increase in sustained mental focus, better bowel movements. You got to get the toxins out of the body. Decreased appetite and the ability to intermittent fast easily, clear skin, whiter eyes, better sleep, less moodiness, which is better for everybody in your household, and improved cellular permeability or phase angle. And that is something that is very difficult to change, and we're seeing drastic changes in that number. At the end of the month, you successfully flush out gallstones into the toilet and you feel so much better. You also, with the guidance of your doctor, are able to get off your medications. The difference between me and any other group coach is I provide the most cutting-edge scalar frequency enhanced supplements that work synergistically with each other, and your body does not experience those flu-like symptoms. You truly feel great day one. If you're interested, leave a comment below or check it out on the website acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Now to the good stuff. Dr. Jon Harmon has a doctor chiropractic degree from the Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. He's a board-certified quantitative Quantitative EEG and neurofeedback, and he's the president and founder of Clear Mind Center of Idaho. He's also an executive director of Lifewave. Welcome, John. How are you today?
Great, man. I want some of that stuff you're talking about.
Well, that's what's so exciting is that everything that I have been working on and working with, and frequency healing and scan devices to tell me on a daily basis what's going on in my body frequency wise. Am I getting a psychic attack? What does my aura look like? Where are my hormones? All of that biofeedback is real, and it's frequency. And it's not voodoo. As we're going to get into it, this frequency talk is not voodoo. It's real. It's quantitative. It's true science, as the world wants to talk about true science right now, right?
Right.
But
well, we're on very similar paths, I can tell you already.
Obviously, yes. Before we get into it, I really want to dive into what you're doing at your center there in Idaho and what brought you to that. Your story that brought, I mean, we all have our stories, right? I would not be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for my son suffering from leukemia at the age of 9. And my daughter having extreme anemia, and me having Crohn's disease and IBS and heavy metal toxicity, and all of these things were God's way of saying, Sarah, this is going to be your path. So tell me your story.
Well, it's very, very similar. Is it okay to share some slides with everybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. If you could bring those up, Roxy, that would be great. All right. Well, thanks for having me on today. It's always good I love telling people about frequencies and a little bit about how I even got here. You mentioned that I've been a chiropractor for 32 years now. And my story is that I was about 22 years into my practice, I would say. I was known as the extremity expert in town. And in March of 2010, we had, let me introduce myself first on this slide, sorry. Father of 8, grandfather of 24. You already mentioned I'm board certified in QEEG. That's quantitative EEG. That's looking at the electrical imbalances in the brain, or balances, knowing what they mean and knowing what to do about them. It's where you have too much or too little electrical activity. It's like a little motor, it's got a little rheostat. If it's turned up too high, you get too much of what it processes. We had a woman come in today and she said, I don't know what happened. I'm just angry all the time. And I said, well, your anger motor's got too much activity in it. So we turn things around for people through neurofeedback. I'll explain in a minute. You mentioned founder and owner of Clear Mind. And there is my contact information if anybody has any questions about anything I talk about today. I'll try to get back to everybody with any questions you might have. I mentioned we had some severe trauma. My 18-year-old niece committed suicide in March of 2010. My oldest daughter's husband was murdered in March of 2011. And then my sister died. 2 years older than I, and my younger daughters were a mess. And I went on a journey to find things that fix brains. You were motivated by your kids and your own problems, and mine is very similar. I needed to help my own family, and now it's turned into helping thousands of people with brain issues. Anybody interested in finding out about what happened to my daughter's husband? It's the show American Monster did 2 episodes on it. The first one's called 3 Pops and a Pause, and the second one's called What the Heart Wants. It was quite a deal. My son-in-law was an attorney in town, and he was having an affair with his paralegal, and her husband shot him in the parking lot of a Walgreens here in this area. So that's kind of shakes your family up a little bit. You don't think that's going to happen to your own family. It was on Dateline twice, and very, very public stuff going on. So that's what was going on with me. And so when I see someone's brain change and they get better, I get high. I get a real good satisfaction, my team and I do. So Clear Mind Center of Idaho, really quickly, what we do microcurrent and laser therapy. We do genetic testing. And then we also do what I'm going to speak a lot about in just a few minutes. It says stem cell dash patch. It's really, I didn't have enough room to put stem cell activating patch. There aren't stem cells in them, but they increase our own production of stem cells, and I'll explain that. Just briefly, microcurrent neurofeedback, we put little electrodes on the brain, and we're talking about frequency healing. It sends frequencies of delta, weak pulses of delta waves, full range of delta, and into the brain, and the brain cells start to find resonance with it, and gets people out of what's called sympathetic freeze. And that's where your autonomic nervous system has had too many shocks to the system, emotional, physical, or chemical exposure. And only the frequencies that run the sympathetic nervous system can work very efficiently. And then the parasympathetic is kind of an afterthought. You don't sleep well, you don't digest well, we don't feel well, we don't heal well. The other thing we do, balancing therapy, what it is, it's a balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And we test to see which parasympathetic functions are not working. Those are some eye movements, swallowing, blood pressure sensors, coughing, pupillary constriction, and other things that only get nerves from the parasympathetic nervous system. All the rest of the body gets dual input. And you have to consider the sympathetic is the gas of the system. It's what ramps things up. Hey, you better have a little anxiety if you're running from a tiger. Well, your sympathetic nervous system makes sure that you do, and that you have increased heart rate, increased ATP production. You got to get the heck out. But it's not appropriate for your heart rate to shoot up when you're just sitting there doing nothing and feeling anxious. That's called anxiety. Some people are so stuck in that they go from doctor to doctor to doctor, and they can't get out of that sympathetic freeze. Well, this assists that purpose. I'm sure that the scalar enhanced nutrients have a lot to do with that as well, that Sarah was talking about. Just briefly, the microcurrent, those little leads are put on the head. It's iasis. That's a Greek word for health. These are all kinds of things that get helped with the microcurrent. We just had I'm going to show you in a second, a woman, a mother who brought her son in who had POTS, and we'll talk about that. The good news is your brain can be fine-tuned with iasis through frequency healing, and it happens to be the frequency of our delta waves that get off. It's in the brainstem where the auto-neuroregulatory part of your brain is. And if you can fix that, you don't have to do the other kind of neurofeedback, which trains the brain. The iasis microcurrent untrains the brainstem from the faulty pattern that it's stuck in, so that it can regulate the rest of the brain normally. Just a note, we need practitioners in many, many cities. I get people calling me from different parts of the country. Do you know anybody in my area? And I said, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody there. I do some of the training for the company. Then we use cold lasers. Just briefly, this is, you see violet and red. The violet is very good at wiping out viruses, bacteria, fungus, and mold. We use that laser, but the reason we use it is because there's a frequency, and this is another one we use that goes over the head. the frequency, the laser is programmable, and it's up to 10,000 pulses per second. And it's programmed at the pulsations that activate the parasympathetic neurons in the brainstem. So that helps return those to normal as well. We do the genetic testing. It's a snapshot of your genes to see if you have any hiccups in your processes. Just briefly, one of the most profound things I've ever heard about gut health. This happens to be my test. If you look right here, it says FUT2. If you have one or both of those variants from mom or dad or both, your gut and your sinuses cannot produce a substance that nourishes the good bacteria. It doesn't matter how many probiotics you take, they cannot grow, and you will have gut issues. This is what the test looks like, and then we support those hiccups with nutrition. This is a little testimonial. Ironically, this came in yesterday. This is the mother. This is a Google review. He's autistic, and he had POTS, and he was in bed for about 4 years, and they tried everything. And she describes how he went from being bedridden to his doctor actually removed the diagnosis of POTS. POTS is positional orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And that's where when you stand up, you cannot maintain pressure in your system. You can't get oxygen to the brain, and you might faint. So he had to spend a lot of time in bed. So that's really rewarding. Those are the kind of good things we do. There's probably not one person on this webinar today, this podcast, who doesn't have at least a basic understanding of what this is all about on this slide. You see frequencies passing through this representation of a human. That could be cell phone frequencies, 5G, it could be spoken word, it could be sounds and light. And it says there at the bottom, there's no system that's not affected by sound, music, and vibration. Truly, they could have just left it at vibration because it's all vibration. Yeah. It's just different frequencies. You can look at, light or vision as visible sound, or sound as audible vision. It's just different parts of that spectrum. And we have organs that interpret that. We don't have organs that can interpret some of the things like the scalar frequencies or the other things that Sarah was talking about. We can't sense those. Some people can. My daughter can actually see auras, frequencies in people. I feel them. I don't see them, but she actually sees them. It was really weird when she was little. Daddy, that's a bad man over there. She's like 5 years old. I'd go, okay, honey. I thought she was making stuff up. Daddy, I saw something over there in the hall, but she sees frequencies and auras and things. When I was in chiropractic college, I was studying all of the ologies, histology, pathology, and all the physiology and all those things. But I was flying around the country learning from Dr. Mortar about a technique called bioenergetic synchronization technique, and reading books like The Body Electric, Cross Currents, and Vibrational Medicine. They had a profound effect on me throughout my career. The first technique that I used was called bioenergetic synchronization technique. And interestingly, the widow of Dr. Mortar came up to me at a conference, and she knew that she saw another presentation that I did, and we talked about him and how cool it was to find out, what happened and all this stuff. It turns out he went into the hospital for something, and he picked up nosocomial infection from the hospital and died. But it was really sad. But those things really affected me through my chiropractic career. And two of the things that he talked about, these are things that he told us at a conference that changed the way I think about the world and frequencies and vibrations. And the first one was the Soviet Union and cats. And they were doing all kinds of experiments trying to find out how to use frequency for nefarious means. And I apologize to people, to animal lovers, but I did not do this, but the former Soviet Union did it. And they took newborn cats. They wired the mother with all kinds of electrical equipment. They took the cats out in a submarine, and they took the life of the kittens. And the mother, the readings on the mother went crazy. She knew when it happened. The next thing had to do with plants. A university study. They had 2 plants. One of them was wired with all of this equipment to sense changes in fields and things. Then they had a student come by and chop up the plant that was next to the one that was wired, and all of the readings went off the chart. But that's not the end of the story. They had the same student come in a week later, and the same thing happened in the plant that was wired. How does that happen? Well, we're going to find out about how those things happen. Just want to give you a little bit of definition. Energy medicine, the application of extremely low-level signals to the body, including energy healer interventions, bioelectric magnetic device-based therapies. The patches, the stem cell activation patches, qualifies as both of those. We're going to be talking about a patch called the X39 stem cell activation patch. And it actually qualifies as photobiomodulation. And I want to give you I want to make sure you understand a couple of concepts before I talk about them. The human body, we humans glow. You just can't see it. It's not strong enough. But a team of these Japanese scientists found out in this study in 2009 and found out that we glow throughout the day. And there are bright spots in the forehead, the neck, the cheeks, and in the late afternoon. So the dimmest bioluminescence was recorded at night. We're going to talk about this very energy that you're seeing in this representation here is exactly what the patches use to run on. The first thing I want to show, remember when I said that student, the plant knew when that student walked by? Well, I want you to know, any of you tree huggers out there, you've always been right. You have always been right, and you can take solace in that. When you find out, this is what they did. They took biosensors. They hooked biosensors up to a MIDI sprout. And what it does, it takes the energy, the frequencies that are being produced inside of that plant, where it communicates with itself to different parts of the plant. And then they convert it to what it would sound like if we could hear it. This is the peace lily. You know, imagine coming up with when you hear what it sounds like, you'll know, yeah, that sounds like peace. So this is what a peace lily sounds like. This is the sound of a peace lily. Sarah, can you hear that?
I can't.
You can't hear it. Okay.
No.
I did share. Hold on. Got to make sure. A box was checked when I was sharing. So I'll go back and make sure that is done.
You know, might be a good time we can take our short commercial break while you figure this out, John,
okay.
And we'll come right back.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sarah Banter, the owner of Accelerated Health Products. And today we have Dr. Jon Harmon talking about frequency healing and stem cell activation patches. John, did you figure it out?
I hope so. Let's try it again.
Okay.
All right. Tell me immediately if you can hear it.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
But you can see the video or the...
Yes.
You can see it, but you can't hear it. Okay. So there's only one option, and that is to share the audio as well. Go back here. Make sure the volume is up. Yeah, the volume. Share system audio. Let's see. I don't see a volume.
There we go. We can hear it.
Well, we'll give it another go. Does your engineer have any suggestions?
I hear something. I do hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear it myself.
Okay.
Got to be something that's not checked.
Well, let's move on though, because I want to make sure we get to the patches and how they're working and what you're seeing. Can you hear me, John? I don't know if John can hear me now. John,
I can hear you now.
Okay, there we go. Well,
Got
why
it.
don't we move on
Okay.
without it, just to make
All
sure
right.
that we don't run out of time.
All right, let's do that. Well, what you would be hearing is something that says, let's see if we can hear this one. It sounds like aliens talking to each other. You can look this up on YouTube. Can you hear that one?
No.
Okay.
There,
Well,
I can hear that.
You can hear it?
Yes.
That is the sound of the mushroom through a MIDI sprout, converting the frequencies to sound.
Oh my goodness.
This is lion's mane. Hopefully you can hear this.
Yep.
Wait till he touches the mushroom.
We're not seeing anything. Are you wanting us to see the video as well?
Yes. Maybe we have to have Roxy do something on her end, maybe.
Roxy, do you want to help him share his screen? You have to add it. You have to share your screen.
Yeah, I did. I'll do that again. Okay.
There we go.
Hopefully you can still hear it.
can't hear anything right now. Oh, there we go. Huh? Wow.
Okay, so that one's got to go off. So this one is marijuana. And you have to click, yes, I'm an adult. It's not going to let me do that one. Sorry about the technical difficulties here.
Well, John, I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to talk about the patches because we're
let's getting... the whole point there is that there are in all living things, we're frequencies, we're energy and frequencies. And I wanted to point that out to people. And you can see my screen now, can you?
Yes. No, we cannot see your screen right now.
Okay. Are we good now?
No.
It says that it's
there
sharing.
We go.
You can see it now?
Well, I did for a second and then it went away.
Maybe Roxy is...
You stopped it, so somehow you need to start it up again. Okay, it's sharing your full screen. There we go.
Okay. Now you can see my screen?
Yep.
Wonderful. Yay. So now that we know that the body is glowing, meaning there are photons being produced by the body, all living things do the very similar things where we have photons of light. We just can't see it that are being emitted from our body. I'm going to tell you about a man. You probably recognize this guy, but I'm not going to be telling you about Nikola Tesla, who was the father of alternating current, and he had a battle with Thomas Edison. He actually invented a way for everybody to get free electricity. You know what happened with that, what a different place the world would be if we had that. But I'm going to talk to you about a different guy. Here we are back to this glowing. Well, the following man figured out how to harness that energy that you see coming from the representations of bodies right there. This man's name is David Schmidt. He's on the level of Nikola Tesla in that he did several different things. First of all, he evaluated our bodies, figured out what frequencies our bodies are emitting into our surroundings. Then he figured out how to harness that energy and reflect it back into our body using a special type of crystal that he invented. Crystals, it's a crystal lattice structure in a flat patch, and it's flexible. So his first one, he was commissioned by the Navy back prior to 2004 to come up with a way of increasing energy production in Navy SEALs who were on long missions on submarines, and they were getting addicted to amphetamines and caffeine. So they said, hey, David, see what you can do. He had already invented a specialized battery for them. And he came up with a way of utilizing those biophotons we're already making. And his first patch, called the Energy Enhancer, actually increases fat burning in our mitochondria for energy. It's not touted as a weight loss, but it causes our bodies to use 300 to 600 calories more per day for energy. That was his first patch. So this led him to invent an entirely new form of taking care of the body by recycling photons of energy and light our bodies are already making and emitting into the space around us. This is what he did. It's the only thing that uses the phototherapy product that uses the human body as a power source. And everybody knows, if I, with this slide up here, if you think about vitamin D, how does that work? Well, sunlight hits it and somehow it gets converted to vitamin D in our body. Here's another look at it. We know how we get tan. Well, we have these little tiny antennae on our cells that pick up different frequencies, just like a radio. And then it converts, or it tells the body to do a different thing. Here's a picture of it, of infrared, different. But I want to point out right over here where it says radiation. We get heat, and we see this, diagram, but this radiation, this is what he harnessed. We're giving off different frequencies. He figured out what substances to put inside of this little patch that you'll see to reflect back selectively different frequencies into the body to turn on different pathways. The X39 is the first patch, and this just shows some distribution centers, offices all over the world for this company. This is the first patch designed to elevate a copper peptide in the body that activates our stem cells. The benefits are stunning. And I'm going to show you some of those right now. The peptide is called the Ghk Copper Peptide. You see right here where it says Cu. That's a copper atom that gets incorporated into it, and it acts like a switch to do different things in the body. The company had to prove to the US Patent Office that this peptide gets elevated by wearing the patch. This is the website of the doctor who actually discovered the Ghk Copper Peptide in 1973. I highly recommend that you go there. It's called Reverse Aging with Ghk. There are 6 different categories, and we're only talking about one of them today in detail, and that is that it activates stem cells. But I recommend you go there. His name is Dr. Laurent Picard. He discovered it. Lifewave obtained that patent in 2020 that I was talking about because it was shown to elevate that peptide in the blood. But what actually happens in your body when you put this on your skin? Well, there's all kinds of things that happen. Dr. Laurent Picard found out when he had old liver cells in a petri dish and he put the Ghk copper peptide in there, it actually reversed the age of the liver cells, and they started to make enzymes and proteins like young liver cells. We get rapid wound healing. So we get collagen repair and collagen destruction. So you think, well, why would you want to get collagen destruction in the body? Well, here's why. If you have a bunch of scar tissue that needs to be cleaned up and turned more like regular skin, that's why. And that's actually what the Ghk copper peptide stimulates. It resets 4,200 of our genes to a younger state, that Ghk copper peptide. And here's some pictures of some athletes, different athletes. You see on the guy on the far right, he's got one 3 finger widths below the navel. That's where one of the spots we wear the X39. Looks like a motocross rider probably has a Nirvana patch right there in his forehead to help him focus. These guys are wearing them in different spots, and this guy has one down on the calf. This is a power lifter, probably has energy enhancer patches on, but all over the world, Olympic and professional athletes. Remember Michael Phelps? These guys were wearing the patches. They won so many medals, and everybody got their best times that they were investigated. A bunch of countries accused them of doping, but they weren't, and they were investigated by the U.S. and World Doping Associations, and they found there's no doping because nothing comes from the patch into you. David Beckham wearing them. Athletes all over the world are using these patches to be their best self. The patches don't cure anything. They just help the body do it itself and take care of business the best that it can, using energy, you are already producing and reflecting it back into your body. Here are some stunning results I wanted to show you. I'm actually friends with this gal on the left.
Wow.
She looks so old. You should see her now. There's another one with a more recent picture, but her skin, her hair, everything changed. This guy's growing hair. This gal, her hair is turning back to brown. I'm going to show you some of my own pictures. This one was stunning. I have more on that. This is actually my wheelhouse right here. You can see right here where there's a disc bulge, that dark right there. And then you see that it's not there anymore.
Huh.
Stunning results, wound healing. Here she is right here. This is a more recent picture on the far right.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Bingo. She looks 20, at least 20 years, maybe 25 years younger.
Yeah.
This guy's regrowing his hair. Here's my pictures. And what happened is my hair started turning brown from the back to the front. And so you can see where it's all brown here, but it's still gray in front. This was about a year ago. And then you can see how gray it was. And then this was taken on a Zoom call a few nights ago.
Wow. I had to ask you, Dr. Harmon, I mean, you have so many grandchildren. How old are you?
I'm going to be 70 pretty soon.
There's no way. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at you going, there's no way he's a grandfather, but my goodness,
Yeah,
go
well,
on.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel 15 to 20 years younger. I've been using these for about 21 months now. This was stunning. And by the way, thank you. You can see the second from the left, the black means that it died. And the surgeon said it was going to die. These are the kind of bullet points. The surgeon reluctantly sutured it. The dad said he wanted him to do it and not just dress the wound. X39 was used right after surgery. The finger grew back looking like a new finger. I apologize for this. It looks pretty gross. This is actually the brother of a friend of mine in Lifewave. And this was, he had it for 8 years. And this, I want to point out collagen destruction here, but it was diagnosed as a lipoma. It was so painful, caused neck pain, shoulder pain. He had it for 8 years. Nobody could figure anything out. He started using the X39. And what it did first is it destroyed the capsule that was around it so that it could drain out and heal.
Wow.
So he's a happy camper. The brain study, the 6-week brain study that was done is what motivated me to include these in our brain protocols and my practice, because there was a study done, EEGs were done, the things I do in my office, and they redid them 6 weeks later and found that all the participants had better brain coherence. Coherence is a measurement of electrical activity. You don't want to have too much one side compared to the other or front to back. It's a measurement of kind of the evenness of consistency of brain activity. It's where we get too much or too little, that's where we get symptoms. For example, a person's brain is supposed to have more beta on the left than the right normally. If that shifts over to the right, it's called anxiety. And similar with alpha, you're supposed to have more alpha on the right. If it shifts to the left, it causes depression. But anyway, it was a measure of that. And so we include a month's supply of these in our brain package, treatment packages, I should say. There was an organ function study done for 6 weeks. And what was astounding to this, and you think about, I just talked about brain, and now I'm talking about cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular systems acted 2 months younger after 6 weeks of using the patches. So you think about the changes, just that one thing alone could make on the health of our country. It's the number one killer. If we can improve that, we can improve everything in the body, because we get better oxygenation, we get better perfusion, we get more nutrients taken away and toxins brought back to go out of the body. So the patches, just a brief review, they reflect back part of our biophotons that we are making. Specifically, only frequencies, certain frequencies go back into the body concentrated. That activates your body's production of the Ghk Copper Peptide. Go to Dr. Lauren Picard's website, Reverse Aging with GHK, and you will see the 6 different benefits from anti-cancer, anti-COPD, best thing recommended for the treatment of COPD, hair, skin, and nails, stem cell activation, and several other categories. That has nothing to do with this company. That is the doctor who discovered that peptide.
Well, and John, I can attest to all of those things with my clients and also personally, as I'm seeing benefits year after year. I have no pain. I'm working out as hard or harder than I was in my 20s. Hormonally, I'm more balanced. My energy is steady. My sleep is consistent. And there's so much we didn't even get to as we're at the end of the hour, and we will need to have you back on, because I want to next time dive into what you're seeing in the brain health, especially because anxiety, suicide, depression is something that is so prevalent now, and
very much so.
It's just really, really shocking and unfortunate, but these patches are working. And they're definitely an integral part of my protocol for my clients. And it just is a true testament to the fact that body, mind, and spirit are all connected. And frequency, and the frequency of the people around you, whether it's just being around toxic people in your life that you need to eliminate to help your health, and become living at that higher level of frequency, as I mentioned in the beginning. But there's so much more that we need to dive into. But before we go, remind everybody your email contact and your website for your facility.
Okay. My email is Dr. J Harmon, Dr. J Harmon @gmail.com. Our Facebook page, Clear Mind Center of Idaho. Our website, clearmindidaho.com. And I put some videos on there of some of our patients and some of their testimonials. And you can go there and find out information. If there are any people, practitioners, counselors, medical doctors, DCs, osteopaths who want to incorporate IASIS into your clinic, there is a huge, huge need. There's so much anxiety for various reasons. And part of it in little kids, they assess their environment through reading facial expressions. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we've been masked up, and right or wrong, I'm not speaking to that at all. I'm just saying, when they can't feel and sense what's going on with people around them, they get anxious and they feel anxiety. And now we have this, hundreds of thousands of kids who have anxiety, and they need to get their brains being regulated normally and get to the point where it learns how to do it normally on its own. And without any assistance. Microcurrent neurofeedback is not something you have to keep doing all the time. It takes between 10 and 20 sessions to untrain the brainstem from the faulty pattern and get things working right again.
Amazing. And I can tell you, I get anxious when I can't see someone smile or facial expression.
I do too. So doesn't everybody look angry when you go into a store? It's like crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Harmon,
welcome.
for joining
I enjoyed
us
it, Sarah.
Today. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. And if I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly through the website at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm happy to put together a personalized protocol for you. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and my YouTube channel and all of the podcast platforms, over 100 channels under Accelerated Health Radio and TV, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, all of them. If you liked what you heard today, please comment below and tell me what you learned, and hit the subscribe button and share with a few of your friends who may need our help. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and you can also use coupon W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. As you support my website, I'm able to bring you this show and all of my amazing guests. Thanks again, and have a great week. Thanks, John.
You bet. See you, Sarah.